I've been spamming keys on Preservation Evoker basically since the Dragonflight beta came out, and I absolutely love this spec. I'm super excited to give you guys everything you need to know to start timing keys on your Preservation Evoker. So in this video, we're going to talk about talents, we're going to talk about how to use your abilities and what they do. Let's get right into it. Let's start with talents in the class tree. This is what I'm recommending for dungeon play. Obsidian Bulwark and Obsidian Scales are really strong defensive options. We're dropping 2 points into Enkindled because Living Flame has a ton of talent synergies we're interested in. We're going to head straight down the left side here and pick up our Kick, Quell, Instinctive Arcana for damage, Blast Furnace for fire breath damage, and Leaping Flames, which will cause our Living Flame to cleave all over the place after casting fire breath. Tip the Scales is an awesome talent that lets you instantly cast a fully empowered spell as a panic button. We're grabbing Tailwind, Extended Flight, and Aerial Mastery to increase the effectiveness of our hover spell, as mobility is really important to us as a mid-ranged healer. We'll also grab Rescue and Twin Guardian, not only to troll our friends by moving them around, but also to grant the damage absorb and work our way down to the awesome Zephyr Capstone that gives us party-wide damage reduction against AoE damage. At level 70, we'll add in Landslide and Natural Conversion to get our Disintegrates out faster, Attune to the Dream for more healing, and Terror of the Skies to add a stun to our Deep Breath. There's some flexibility here with these final points, but this build has served me well so far. In the Preservation tree, we're taking a lot of non-negotiable Evoker healing abilities like Echo, Dream Breath, Reversion, Rewind, Time Dilation, Spirit Bloom, and Emerald Communion to start. Don't worry, we'll go over what all these do and how to use them later. Going straight down the center of the tree, we take Essence Burst and Essence Attunement to get free uses of Essence spending abilities from our Living Flame, Lifegiver's Flame, which is an insane talent that converts your fire breath damage into healing, Life Force Mender for damage and healing from Flame Breath and Living Flame, Life Bind, which links your health with the target of your Verdant Embrace, and Fauna Magic to further increase the power of our empowerment spells. Off to the left, we grab Spiritual Clarity to reduce our Spirit Bloom CD, and then we head over to the right and take Golden Hour, which makes your reversions heal instantly 15% of the damage the target just took in the last 5 seconds. Time Lord to buff our Echo spell, Punctuality to get an extra reversion charge, Energy Loop to get mana return from our Disintegrate, Timeless Magic to increase the duration of our bronze spells, and top it off with Stasis, a really powerful healing cooldown that we'll get into how to use in a minute. This will suffice at level 60. When you get your extra talent points at level 70, I'd recommend either Dreamwalker or Rush of Vitality depending on your preference, Temporal Artificer to get more rewinds out, Call of Ysera for big heals after Verdant Embraces, Power Nexus for more essence, and a point in Renewing Breath. One important thing you'll need to learn about Preservation is the Essence system. Preservation has 2 resources to keep track of, mana and Essence. The only spells that actually cost Essence are Echo, Disintegrate, and Emerald Blossom, and for the purposes of 5-mans, we won't use a ton of Blossoms. Let's get into the healing rotation and what buttons you need to press to keep the group alive. For your standard low to medium amounts of incoming damage, you're going to be mainly using Reversions and Living Flames combined with Echoes to keep people up. Throw out Reversions really liberally, as you've got 2 charges and a ton of synergizing talents that connect to the spell, and later on when you get your 4th set, you'll be rewarded for having lots of Reversions out. Using Echo ahead of a Reversion actually puts 2 copies of the spell on a player and can do a really solid amount of healing. Living Flame is your basic spammable single target healing spell. Not much to write home about on its own, but you can double the amount of healing it does with an Echo, and the cool thing about this combo is that you can actually cast the Echo before or after you cast the Living Flame, because Living Flame has a travel time and Echo does not. Finally, you've also got Emerald Blossom with heals for a decent amount. This one kind of looks like a Druid Efflorescence, but it actually leaves an animation on the ground for a couple seconds and then pops, at which point it does the healing. This is a more raid-focused spell and not something I use much at all in 5-mans unless I know the group is going to be very tightly stacked and I can get a lot of value out of the cast. When the damage starts ramping up, we can tap into our empowered AoE healing spells. Spirit Bloom is a big time heal on a 30 or 20 depending on talents. Second cooldown that heals more people the longer you charge the Empower cast. So to get your best bang for your buck with the spell, empower it to the level you need, but not longer. After that, you've got Dream Breath, which is another empowered healing ability, healing people in front of you in a large cone and putting a big heal over time on them. Both these spells can be combined with the Tip the Scales talent to make them cast at full empowerment level instantly, so don't forget about that super useful cooldown. From a single target healing perspective, Verdant Embrace is your biggest single target heal and can also be empowered with Echo. Just remember that it flies you to the location of your healing target, making you vulnerable to any mechanics they are in or any mechanics between you and them. Make sure you've got a clear path before you let this one fly, as I've found myself in trouble from this spell a number of times. When the damage is getting serious, you've got some massive cooldowns you can use to help you out. First one I want to talk about is Rewind, which is an absolutely amazing CD. Rewind undoes the last 5 seconds of damage your party took by 50%. So if a big burst of damage goes out to one or all players, you can use Rewind to quickly undo a large chunk of it. Super great cooldown that you can just reactively use when tons of damage goes out and you're not ready for. You've also got Stasis, which requires a little bit more planning ahead on your part. Once you activate Stasis, your next 3 healing spells cast will be saved into the Stasis buff. You can have 30 seconds to press Stasis again and unleash the 3 spells instantly for hopefully a huge burst of healing. This is a cooldown that will benefit a lot from some pre-planning on your part. One example of how you could get a massive amount of healing from Stasis would be something like this sequence. Get a couple echoes out, Spirit Bloom, tip the scales into Dream Breath, Verdant Embrace. Doesn't need to be exactly like that, but that would be one example of a super high throughput Stasis. On a 1.5 minute cooldown, it's pretty safe to toss this around if you know you're about to do a lot of healing, so you can Stasis, capture it, and then reuse it again within 30 seconds. Finally, while not a true damage reduction, you also have time dilation to help out with heavy single target damage. This ability basically acts as a monk stagger and causes the damage the player takes to be spread out over 10 seconds instead of taken all up front. Emerald Communion is kind of like a tranquility that only applies to you until you're at full health, at which point it will heal other players. It's great to pump up your own health bar or others if you're able to stand still and channel, or if you take the mobility talent. Also nice if you get stunned, particularly if you mess up Thundering, as it is castable while stunned. One of the strengths of Preservation Evoker is its damage, so let's get into damage rotation. When you're first getting used to a new healer, damage isn't too important, but I'd argue that Evoker's damage is so easy to get out, there's really no reason to stay away from it. It's basically going to look like this. Cast a Fire Breath at the beginning of a pull, and on CD for massive damage, which will also do a big chunk of healing to the lowest nearby player through the Life Giver's Flame talent. Follow it up with the Living Flame, which will cleave onto a whole bunch of stuff because of the Leaping Flames talent. Cast Deep Breath off cooldown. From there, it's basically Living Flame spam. You can use Azure Strike for AoE, but Living Flame has the added benefit of giving you Essence Burst procs, which you can either choose to use on Disintegrate for more damage or Echoes for more healing. And yep, if you can do that, welcome to the highest damage healer. Okay, let's wrap this up with Preservation's utility spells. Rescue is a great tool to troll your friends, but also has some practical uses. Rescue will pick up your target and then fly both of you to a chosen location. You can use this to move people out of mechanics, similar to how a priest would use Life Grip, but with the Twin Guardian talent, you've also giving them a 30% absorb shield, so the spell can actually be used to shield someone who needs it in a pinch. Zephyr is a great talent that reduces incoming AoE damage by 20% and increases movement speed by 30% for your whole party. There are an absolute ton of bosses and trash mobs that can be made easier by using this ability, so be sure you're pressing it often. Tail Swipe is a great AoE disrupt that you can use to break unkickable casts and CC whole packs, and Wing Buffet can be used similar to a Druid's Typhoon to knock enemies back and reposition them. You've also got Bloodlust and Fury of the Aspects, and a mobility cooldown reduction buff with Blessing of the Bronze that you'll want to keep up on your party all the time. As for personal defensives, Obsidian's Bulwark is an amazing defensive ability that has 2 charges on a 1.5 minute cooldown, so help yourself out and press it when you know you're going to be taking considerable damage. On the mobility side of things, Hover is your main way of moving quickly. We talent into 2 charges, and be aware that you can cast spells while hovering but not empowerment spells. Use Hover to dodge mechanics, get closer to party members that are out of your range, or generally just get around faster. Another kind of cool quality of life thing I like to use is the Chosen Identity ability. As a Drakthir, you have a racial ability that allows you to shapeshift into what's basically a scaly elf form when not in combat. Outside of cosmetics, this actually does serve a purpose, as Visage form increases the health regeneration of your party. If you activate the Chosen Identity ability, you will swap into Visage form anytime you leave combat, ensuring you are getting the most out of this health regen, and great if you're one of those people that isn't too keen on the dragon form of Evokers. Finally, although it's down the road a bit here in Dragonflight Season 1, you're going to eventually want to get your 4-set bonus, so let's touch on that briefly. The Evoker 2 set makes your Empower spells increase the crit chance of your reversion by 25% for 6 seconds, which can extend the duration of your reversion, but is not a real game changer on its own. The 4-piece bonus causes reversion healing to give a chance to proc instant cast 20% stronger living flames. This one's pretty nice, as those instant living flames can be nice for spot healing or just extra damage. Neither set bonus will really impact the way you play, as you should be throwing out a ton of reversions anyway, and the 4 set pretty much just rewards you for doing so. So I hope you guys found this Preservation Evoker guide helpful. If you did, I always appreciate a like on the video or subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos in the future. If you think I left anything out, please make sure you let me know in the comment section. If you guys want to see more, don't forget to check out my stream right here on YouTube, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, 9 p.m. Pacific. I'd love to see you there. Have fun with your Evokers, guys. Happy healing, and I'll see you in the next one.